So let's make our own Joe. So I'm here at a hardware store and I found the dowel pieces here. Now you want to choose the right width. This one here in my hand is 25 millimeters and this one here is 29 millimeters. Now if you're a bigger person, the 29 millimeter one's okay, and you can also make a bow out of that, which is 1800 high. But for most of us, it's a Joe. And it's the 25 millimeter one, the Joe. This length of wood here is 2.4 meters. So I'm going to chop that in half and make two Joes and bring to the club. This is the one I'm going to buy today. It's a 25 millimeter in diameter, which is the round part. Now, if you're a taller, bigger person, you can make your own a bow, which is 1800 millimeters high, and certainly make the 30 millimeter one with that one. The only problem obviously sometimes with this type of wood, it can break or splinter. So you can get different types of woods and you might want to get a harder wood, and some hardware stores have more variety, but I'm just going to go with this one here today. So part two of making your home Joe, a great project for you and the children to do, is so I've got my 2.4 meter length of 25 millimeter diameter piece of wood. And I'm simply going to measure that and cut it in half. I guess it all seems pretty straightforward, but it's nice to maybe see how things get done maybe. So yeah, it's 24.4. So I'm going to cut it exactly in half to make it 1220. That's the center there, I'll just check that. All carpenters and builders always know. Measure twice, cut once. 12. One. All right. Look, you can use any sort of saw, as you probably know. That's just a standard wood saw, and I've even got a hacksaw. It'll all cut. It's only a little piece of wood. When I do cut, I've pulled a few back strokes first, just to get a groove backwards, to get a groove going. Keep your hand right out the way. Just at that very last piece, so I'm nearly through that. Don't want it to break and be splintered and not very neat at the end. So I just need to secure that other side. That'll do. Okay, good. So I've got a table over there securing the other edge. I'm about to cut that in half. And you know, you can get it just cut at the hardware store and they'll cut it for you just with their drop saw in a flash. Very light, there it is, very light cuts right at the end. So now I've got my two Joes, and they're about 1200 high. And a Joe can be anything from 12 to 1300. It doesn't really matter too much, but around that length. I wouldn't go much smaller than that, just so that we're all consistent with what we're using. So now I've got two Joes, 1200 millimeters in length, 25 millimeter diameter, which is a good size. So now what I like to do with those edges here is just sand them off. Now you can get some sandpaper and just sand that off with some sandpaper. I've got a really great simple method to do that, so check this out. So I'm just going to sand or round or smooth this edge here so it doesn't hurt if it was to hit all your hands, just on a little bit of concrete. Just down this way, here I go, and I'm circling it. So I'm turning that in my hands, as I go. What do you think, Blue? Yeah. Oh, great, perfect. And you look at that smooth edge now, so much smoother, a little bit safer than a sharper edge or rougher or harder edge here. So much, look at that, perfect. If it hits, it's not going to cause any damage, or not as much damage as maybe a sharper edge there. You could also use some sandpaper to really smooth this off if you wanted to. But for me, I've done lots of those in the past, and now I've got two Joes ready to go. Yeah, what's that? Oh, yeah. Good boy. Yeah, good boy. And so there we have it. 2 excellent Joes ready to go. And all up, this ended up being $15 for the full length. I had the tools at home, nothing else cost me anything, so it's $15 total, and I've got 2 Joes. What a great way to save some dollars and have a project with you and the children at home and do something at home as a project. Enjoy it. Ready to use. Let's see if it works. Oh yes, it does. That's set to go.